Welcome back, all my 40K fanatics out there. I'm DJ here with Tim's Nation to bring you another Warhammer 40K battle report. Because I needed more practice after Lane's Votan. Whoo-wee, they skunked me on primary. I mean, I did well on secondary that game, but man, a 0 on primary with the Canoptek Court. And this thing's been rumored to be like a beast. I don't know what I was doing wrong with it. So yeah, Jake, my buddy here, someone who I've known for a very long time, but yet only gotten to play twice. We were playing 40K back on kitchen tables using DVDs for terrain, I remember, back in the day.
I think it's been 17, 18 years.
It's been a while. It's been, don't say those numbers out loud, make me feel old. But guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do. Turn on the bell for notifications, get notified on all the content bringing here on the channel, including these random quicker battle reports to just kind of showcase the army. Again, I've wanted to take this thing to a tournament, and I think that when I played my game against Lane, I underestimated the damage that my race were going to put out and didn't just bank on their resilience. So I made a couple tweaks. I also think I hurt myself by not bringing spiders. I know a lot of people are very, very high on the Nightbringer in the Canoptek Court right now, and I get it. I see it. He's brutal. There's a reason he's the Grim Reaper. But that, I want to base more into the shooting aspect of it. So I went over to one of my favorite things, the Canoptek Spiders, and brought a whole heck of a lot of them back. But before we get over into my list, today we are going to have Drukhari on the table for the first time. Drukhari is an army that is very underrepresented in the meta right now. Really, really is. Very few players out there, so their numbers are much lower. They probably could definitely use a little bit of a boost to their decks overall. Indexes kind of, that happens sometimes with them. But Drukhari is not represented very well out there. So seeing them out there is very, very rare. And I'm very glad to be able to get this game because honestly, I haven't played against them at all in 10th edition. So yeah, I really would not want to get beat because I do not know what an army can do. So Jake, why don't you run us through what you're going to be bringing here today?
Absolutely. Thank you. All right. So today we brought a full skew of characters. We have an Archon with Art of Pain, Lilith Hesperix, and this homunculus is going to be proxying Uriel Rakarith. Sorry if I'm butchering the name. He is in a squad of Racks. The other two characters are solo. The character and the Racks are going to be inside of this Venom. We have 3 5-man squads of Scourges. We're going to say all of them are running Dark Lances, so 4 Dark Lances per squad. These mismatched models over here, the Witches and the Urgles, actually are going to be our Mandrakes for today, so 2 5-man squads of Mandrakes, 3 Ravagers, the Void Raven Bomber, a Kronos, and 3 2-man squads of Taloses. And what are we fighting today, sir?
All right, so I'm bringing the Canoptek Harvest, because that's what I will always call it. And this is using the new Canoptek Court detachment. So I made a couple changes from my last list, but let's go through it real quick on everything that I got in here. So we got 2 6-man squads of Wraiths. Both will have a Technomancer with them. One of my Technomancers is equipped with the relic. I'm not going to butcher names, so I'm just going to say the relic that gives them reroll 1s to wound. And my other will have Infiltrate for the squad of Wraiths. Then there will be a Chronomancer leading a 10-man squad of Immortals. Those will be equipped with Tesla because they're great out of the Canoptek Court. I have 3 Canoptek Tomb Sentinels, the big Forge World bugs, because centipedes are cool. 3 of the Canoptek Doomstalkers, because these guys are ridiculous in the Canoptek Court with full rerolls to hit. And my bread and butter, my babies, my boys, not 1, not 2, but 3 2-man squads of Canoptek Tomb Spiders with particle beamers. So this will be your first time seeing the Canoptek Court. I know there is a lot of resources and information out there, and pretty much it's pretty unanimous that the Canoptek Court is probably one of the best detachments to come out of Necrons, at least right off rip. The teleport around one, I definitely want to look into more, especially being a Grey Knight player, because I really think there could be a lot there. Different units, different utilities to go off that Grey Knight style play. So you have some experience with Necrons in 10th edition.
A little bit, yeah. I have 2 games. I'm 0 and 2, so I have a lot of experience losing.
Well, that's you know what? Sometimes you got to lose them before you can win them. Honestly, like I remember one of my favorites was against a friend of ours, Steve, Mr. Orc himself, and when he first started playing the Orc Codex, he was reading off. He's like, oh, and this gun that does this. And I'm like, listen here, Steve, you're going to need to play this against me because I really feel like you're just reading me a Dr. Seuss book at this point with these gun names. And he came over, he played me and whooped me good. And I went, okay, got this. Then went to a tournament, played against Orcs and said, no, we're done here. This isn't happening. So yeah, there really is sometimes where you're just like, you know what? You're telling me all this stuff. I get it. Just beat me with it. So then I know, okay, this is what didn't work. This is how durable this was. This is how damaging this was. And sometimes that's the best way to just go about it, is just say, screw the rules. Just beat me up. Just punch me in the face, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
So on the channel, we make it simple. We roll this big dice, our big foam dice friend here, and it goes odd or even. And you declare it, and then whichever may be, you can pick deploying first or second, since the terrain is pretty equal. So odd or even, my friend.
We're going to go with even.
And it is an odd. So I will have you deploy first, and we'll be back after deployment. All right, we are deployed. So Jake, why don't you talk to us a little bit about what we are doing today?
All right, so we drew for our primary mission, take and hold. Our mission rule is secret intel, which we'll be drawing an additional secondary, and crucible of battle for our deployment.
Alrighty, so and then take and hold is just standard. Hold 1, 5 points. Hold 2, 10 points, and then 3 for 15 points. So correct. 5 points per objective. All right, so now we'll talk about what we are doing and what we're trying to do with some of our deployments. So for me, obviously, I want to have power matrix on my Doomstalkers, so I positioned them behind some obscuring terrain so that they were safe for the first turn, and then able to move out and put down their firepower. With some of the stuff that Jake has, some of the bigger, tougher units, I want to make sure that I can hit them, and when I hit them, I want to hit them hard and hit them good. Got the Immortals set up here so that they're able to go and try and take Objective Marker 2 and be able to threaten that, so I can start building my power matrix towards the middle. For my Infiltrate, I held these guys back because I wanted to see where kind of some stuff went, so I waited late. And I put them just to be able to threaten the middle very, very easily, but still have a good range to be able to tag Objective Marker 3 if I decide to bring the game over there. And these Wraiths are in a similar position. They're able to get up on Objective Marker 3 and try and fight over for that. I got Spiders positioned back here, here, and here to make sure I can keep my feel no pain on my vehicles, as well as be able to put their firepower down on objective markers as the game goes forward. I don't have a lot of firepower going on Objective Marker 3 over there in the corner, but we're going to try and focus more on 2 and 4 and see how it goes. So, Jake, what do we got and what are we doing?
We kept our durable Taloses off to this flank to threaten the middle and this quarter over here. And then we tried to hide most of our lance fire from anything that you were lining up. So we'll have our 3 Ravagers clustered behind this cover, our 3 squads of Scourges hiding behind this cover just outside of the cutoff.
Because as we run these things here, this is obscuring terrain. We do some Games Workshop terrain layout. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not 5 inches tall, but for all intents and purposes, it is. For these middle pieces of terrain that are touching no man's land, once you enter them, you can be seen and seen out, no window effects, just to make it easy. But then all the corner ones are fully obscured. The bottom floor basically is blocking, and we consider them all 5 inches tall. Sorry, want to throw that out on that. No. So back to, you're talking about your Scourges and how they're hiding in the corner? Yeah.
Kronos is taking center here to try to give his 9-inch aura rerolls for the pain tokens to as many as possible as we move towards the middle. And then the character, Uriel Rackrith, in the vehicle ready to heal some Taloses.
This little character hiding back over here, just hanging out.
Yep. So we have the lone Archon with his 2+ invuln until he fails it, hiding over here, maybe to do some objectives. We also have Lelith hiding over in this corner to do the same.
Alrighty. So in this matchup, what are you feeling? Would you like to go first or second?
I could go either way at this point.
I kind of would like to go second. I feel like I'm in a really strong defensive position. I'd rather have you start moving the game out there, and I really would like to have that last turn to score points. So I would definitely like to go second, and I think I would be in a better position, but I could play off going first. Okay. All right. Well, there's only one thing left to do. Let's roll the dice.
Yeah.
And see what the dice decide.
One roll to rule them all.
I don't think it's me. All right. Well, it looks like I get my wish. Not even my birthday. And I will be going second, so we will be back. Jake, do you have any scout moves or anything?
I do not. No.
All right, so then we will just be back after Jake gets his movement all situated and talk about the turn. All right, so this is the end of the Drukhari turn, and not a lot happened here. So in this mission, we get to draw you may draw a third secondary. You don't have to. And if you and then if you do, you discard that one. So Jake opted to. He had capture enemy outpost as one to try to score this turn, and well, that didn't seem like a good idea on turn one. So capture enemy outpost, which is not one of the ones that you shuffle away if you go first, which doesn't make sense. It got discarded. So Jake was on Bring It Down and Area Denial. So Jake moved into center with the Mandrakes, right?
Yes, correct.
And took center, so he's able to grab the Area Denial very nicely for 5 points. But that was about it.
Yeah. You popped your stratagem that activated Lone Op, which blew this firing line here. So everything that moved up to engage them can't fire. Other models moved over to occupy that quarter.
Yep, and then start working that game and start threatening on those. So if I try and grab those objectives for my power matrix, we've got some Talos to deal with. So that's going to be the end of the Drukhari turn, kicking it over to the Necrons, and we'll be back and see what we can do. So you'd think I stacked the deck. I got Secure No Man's Land and Extend Battle Lines as my first two secondaries. So that was a very easy 10, mostly because of the fact that, the game really hasn't progressed at this point. The only thing that's tough about it is that means that I am pushed up the map and in a forward position that Jake can kind of answer my rates. So I'm not feeling too safe with them at this point in the game. But we picked up one Talos from the Doomstalkers. They were just not rolling. Even on a reroll, couldn't make it happen. But I was able to get one. And then over here, Jake popped a strat to make these guys -1 to wound. So I was, again, not really able. I did a little bit of damage. What's one of them at?
One is down to 5.
Down to 5. So when I say little bit, I mean a little bit. We moved up. We shot the Mandrakes down. The Immortals, with their insane amount of sustain, they just went nuts on sustained hits. And 4 guys were able to make it out and then shoot, and they just ripped the Mandrakes to shreds. I didn't need an extra objective marker, so I figured I'll keep the Immortals safe and just bounce them back in the building off the Chronomap source buff, and put the Doomstalkers in position that they have a really, really, really nice firing lane going all the way down here. So throughout the game, I can pick on stuff, throw it out there and down the lane. Problem is, I just picked up Jake's scoring unit, the Mandrakes, on a charge for my Wraiths, and I think Jake's going to want to answer back and kind of hit some of my scoring units. So that was it for my turn, 10 on secondary, and we're going to kick it over to Jake in his turn 2. All right, so ending out the Dark Eldar turn, Drukhari, will always be Dark Eldar to me, as anticipated, but still the durability, very, very nice on the Wraiths now. Again, we know with the Feel No Pain, they were able to survive quite a bit. All 3 of these Ravagers, the Talos in the middle, and what are these guys?
Racks.
The Racks, with what shots they did have, plus the vehicle, which can see through windows and stuff, all went into the Wraiths and did, with the charges, finished off the Wraiths. But the Cryptek is still alive, so maybe he can, maybe he might be able to do some secondary jazz and stuff like that. These Scourges bounced out, shot, and bounced back. And what was their target? Yeah, that Doomstalker that was once there. So they made quick work of him. Well, no, it did take all 3, but still, there was one squad that just said, "Hi, let me nearly shred you completely." The plane did unfortunately whiff, shooting into the Doomstalkers. I mean, I'm happy about it, and that was about it. I used my command point to move the Wraiths away as Jake approached center. And now talk to me a little bit about what these guys are doing.
So this Venom is going to allow, at the end of the fight phase, these Racks to get back inside. So they were able to get out, heal this Talos, shoot, and then get back inside their vehicle.
Right on. So they're going to get out of here. You had Secure No Man's Land and Cleanse.
Correct.
So you got Cleanse on this objective. So there's a little character up there. You see the blades hiding. Hey, how you doing? He cleansed this objective, so that's going to be 3 points there. And you were able to secure No Man's Land and score that. So you're going to get 8 on the turn, plus your 5 primary, and it's going to get kicked back over to the Necrons. So my secondaries this turn wanted me to kind of sacrifice a lot for actions. And I also was looking at Capture Enemy Outpost, which that is definitely still a very difficult place to be right now. So I chose to use this turn to try to remove a bunch of resources, and I think I did a much better job of it than previous. I was able to be a little more precise. Thank you, spiders. So the Sentinels came in, and where there once was 3 Talos, there now is only 1. The remainder from the unit that I couldn't kill before, and the Sentinels were able to hammer them really nicely since they're on an objective. Getting that additional AP1 really helped, and the 2 damage was enough to pick them up. Spiders, 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 all fired into the middle at the Talos. That 1 command point strat to make a -1 to wound was very, very effective. The devastating wounds was pretty much the only thing that could do any damage, even on other shots that were thrown at armor safe. So the devs were good. These spiders advanced up, so they weren't able to shoot. They need to get in position for later points in the game. Immortals bounced out, grabbed this objective, shot at the Talos as well to try to put some damage in there. Man, if I had the 2 command points at that point for devastating wounds, whoo, that would have been some damage. But alas, they just kind of plinked at them, bounced off their armor, bounced off the feel no pain, and then just dropped right back into the building. Got this one dude hanging out there, so when I get shot at, he'll be the first to die so that they can go back into hiding. Now, and then one of the big talking points, these Doomstalkers. Doomstalkers went to the sky, and where there once was a plane, there is no more. So, plainly speaking, they had some really good solid hits on that. I had to get that thing off the field. Those lances were really scary. So that is going to be the end of the Necron turn. I did get 0 on secondary for this turn. I pitched a card to gain an extra command point to put me on that, back on the positive side of things. And we'll see how this goes going back over into Drukhari at the top of turn 3. All right, so this is the shooting phase I want Drukhari to have. So Jake got Defend Stronghold and Investigate Signals. So this little guy just decided, I'm going to go over here and play Game Boy next to this giant robotic centipede that just ate my Talos. But hey, I need to score points. So he's over here hanging out with me, just being a guy. The Ravagers came back to try to shoot at the Sentinel. This is where I spent my command point, and on to make this lone operative style for the Canoptek court. So then this Sentinel was very, very, very well protected. Also, as units moved around up here, and the Viper? No, not a Viper. What's it called?
Talos.
Talos. The Talos moved over, triggered the Wraiths to fall back. So the Wraiths fell back to just barely on the objective with 1, but they fell back in enough ways so that they were able to block some line of sight from the Scourges. The Scourges moved out to center of this, between the terrain, and this unit of Scourges moved just to touch the terrain to be able to shoot through. They put some work on the Wraiths. They were able, pretty much the reason that 2 of them are gone. The other squad of Wraiths, Scourges, one of them, without rerolls, was a king and just obliterated downfield, while the one with rerolls, because of the pain tokens, failed absolutely miserably, I think. I think that's how it happened. Because it's always, whatever you give rerolls to fails, or does horrible, and then whatever doesn't have rerolls, just does amazing. Well, one of my spiders hit hard and went to the grave. So I lost 1 squad of spiders, but the other one's still alive. So that's going to pretty much wrap up the turn. Jake got 4 points on the Investigate Signals and is holding Defend Stronghold because he, still holds his Stronghold. We'll score at the end of my turn. So I am very appreciative that he didn't completely obliterate my Wraiths this turn. That Feel No Pain is not a joke. And especially that strat, that 1 command point to just not to get that lone operative right over here at the Sentinel is very, very big. So now we'll see what I can do. Now, one trick that I'm about to do, I'll talk about this right now, is I'm actually going to get a 15 on primary. So I kept the Immortals out here, so I control this objective. I still control the objective back here with my spiders. Over here, we are contesting at 2 apiece. However, since primary is scored at the end of the command phase, I will have the ability to reanimate, and since this Wraith squad is unhurt, whenever I roll, we'll bring a Wraith back, and I will put it directly onto the objective in coherency, and then score primary to get a 15 on primary. So that will help make up for me losing the secondary points last turn by just going at damage. And now we're on over into the Necrons. This was a very, very brutal turn. This is when a lot of stuff is shifted. I drew tempting targets. And engaged on all fronts as my cards, and I just stopped. I didn't even draw the next one. So Doomstalkers came out and moved in position to shoot downwind. The one that shot into the Ravager completely and utterly failed. The one that shot into the Venom blew it up, and then my Sentinel started to go to work on shooting the squad inside, leaving 2 members there, and 1 guy's going to come back next turn. Then we charged into Talos, and as you can see, the Talos is still at 6 wounds because the Sentinel doesn't do anything in combat, but this was my tempting target, and he is OC4. Over here, I was able to put this Sentinel in a position to beat up these Scourges that were hiding back here behind the wall, and charge into the vehicle to at least shut it down for shooting or force it to shoot just into the Sentinel. And then the Wraiths moved across the middle, damaging the, what was that guy over there? What is his name?
The Kronos.
The Kronos. And then charging into the Scourges, running over 1 squad and shooting at and killing 2 in the other one nicely. Now they're in combat with them, so that's going to be really beneficial for bringing down shooting. And the Immortals jumped out, shot spiders in the middle, had a whole bunch of random stray shooting from like spiders and Tesla and everything that also went into Kronos to help do the job. So that pretty much finished up my turn. That was a lot of stuff that happened there. And we are going to turn it over to Jake and see how he draws secondaries and finish out this turn and finish out this game here quick. All right, so finishing off the Drukhari turn, we got deploy teleport homers and extend battle line. So pretty good secondaries for this position. So we went to, we fell back over here, and Jake brought the Scourges out so he could shoot at the Wraiths. And they were very durable. Only 1 went down. However, because of Lilith and the Ravagers moving into position, he takes back control of the objective, which helps for extend battle lines, and takes it away from me. Over here, the Scourges jumped into the center and were able to deploy teleport homers and give the second objective for extend battle lines. This was in range of the Spiders, who were able to then get out of the building and move out in preparation to start making an assault on the objective and stay out of the overwatch range of the Doomstalkers and their line of sight. Over here, the Talos hit the Canoptek Tomb Sentinel pretty hard, dropping him down to 4 wounds. These little guys over here are battle shocked, so they left the objective alone, and they're kind of just at their doom at this point. There's not much left for them with their battle shock. They needed to not battle shock and possibly take this objective, so that kind of hurts for them, but hey, they did their part. And it is going to be tough for me to actually get to them this turn. The Spiders are going to have to go work at the middle. Sentinel can come around the outside, but that's going to be tough. And then over here, this is just my favorite moment right here. The Sentinel is locked in combat with this Ravager. So you got this giant centipede just climbing all over this Ravager, trying to shoot guys in the face. And, well, we'll see how it works out. Oh, I'm not allowed to shoot him. He's blast. Aw, sad. So he's not allowed to just stand up there and shoot him in the face. All right, well, Doomstalkers, do your worst. All right, so we're starting to get towards the end of this. At the end of the Necron turn, we were able to charge. We moved the Wraiths over top of both of the barges and then did mortal wounds to this one, dropping it down to 8. Over here, this barge faced some long-range hate from both of the Doomstalkers. One failed miserably, but one was able to get quite a bit of damage through, and the Wraiths were able to charge in and finish it off. They also charged Lilith, which I had plans to put a lot of attacks on her and try to kill her if other things didn't go well, such as the Spiders, who this squad was very surprisingly durable. I put a lot of fire into them, and in the end, I had to charge them with the Spiders. Almost killed on the tank shock, but failed. And then they finished him off in combat, so I could score Assassinate. He stood back up on a 2-up and has full wound, so he's still around to function and, well, steal that objective from me in the center. Over here, nothing happened. Literally nothing happened. Over here, nothing happened. Literally nothing happened. Sentinels do not belong in combat. But hey, at least this one's holding an objective marker while his buddy comes around the corner. And the Immortals stayed put. I rolled for an advance to try to see if I couldn't assault these, like with my guns, assault into these last 3 Scourges, but I only rolled a 1, so they stayed put. I can't complain too much. I'm in a really strong position. We're closing on the end of the game. There's only a couple more turns. I mean, we got a couple more things we're going to do and just close this one out. Jake was able to get engaged on all fronts this turn, and just by being in a position for 3 table quarters, he made a play at this for the tempting target, and we got hit by an Overwatch the Doomstalker, which dropped him down to just under 2 to not be able to take that. Well, just under the Immortals OC2. There, that's what I was trying to get to. So I'm going to have a real quick turn, and we'll come back with the final score. This dude over here came in and just smacked my Sentinel for 2 wounds. I was not happy with that. So, all right, we'll see what I got for my turn and come back with the final score. You know, sometimes the reason we play this game is just to roll dice, and there were some spike kills I had to pick up. So we did shoot way downfield with the Doomstalkers and their long-range cannons and picked up this Raider, and man, it felt good. It felt good. That was my happiest moment. Over here, we just cleared out, picked up the last guy on the objective marker so I could score 15 at the end of the turn. I had behind enemy lines, and what was the other one? Defend Stronghold, which defend Stronghold score at the end of the game, and I hold my Stronghold. And then I just moved on, took this objective away, finished off the Talos with the spiders, fell back from combat so I could take this objective. I hold 4 of them. 3 will get me 15 with a final score with it. Necrons 98.
I think so.
Yeah, Necrons 98. Drukhari 57. All right, guys, give us a couple seconds and we'll talk about this game and how some of this stuff meant, and then we'll call it a night. All right, guys, so final score, Necrons 98 to the Drukhari 57. I feel bad when we get to some of these points. No, I do. I honestly feel bad because I know there's got to be someone out there that like, why are they still playing the game? Like, there are points in time, and we both have it in a competitive game, where you can look at your opponent and go, yeah, this is over. This is not in my favor now. But in a sense, for creating the content and some of the newer players that might want to see where some of the gameplay goes and how it sums out, I feel we have to finish it out and see what the score finishes up as to show that final score. But man, it feels bad. It feels bad. I'm sorry, though, Jake.
No, it was a lot of fun. It was nice to see all of the different Necron abilities and units. A lot has changed, and it was good to have you showcase all of it.
Well, and that's a big part of it too. Is like, I have been playing Necrons immensely, and this is new to me. You know, I didn't do as well against Lane, but I also feel like from that game, I tweaked some things. So I definitely appreciate you coming out and getting the game with me so we could get this thing tested so I can mash out some of the details and figure out what I wanted to run. And at that same time, too, you were asking a lot of questions. We were going over a lot of different stuff with it that you didn't know. Like, especially one thing was the Necrons being able to reanimate and take the objective markers and how that's scoring and how that's sequencing. Yeah. And just to throw a little bit of that out there, the Necron reanimation, as well as scoring primary, both occur typically, unless you're doing the relic, the one that you have like the soccer balls that you move them, typically score at the end of the command phase. So with both abilities resolving in the command phase end, you as the active player choose which one goes first, reanimate first, and then score the command points. So it's a little crafty Necron trick, and it came back from 9th edition to this. The only limitation is when you're putting the models back, you still have to put the models back within coherency of the models that were there. But in situations like with Immortals, that put me in a position where I could just put that one dude out there, bounce out, blast the center. Man, those Immortals are something else.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of me that kind of almost wants to run 2, but I feel like I'm good with just the one. One finds a home and does a lot of shooting really well. All in all, what do you have? Any thoughts about this list and this design and new kind of Necron's detachment of just volume of fire and hits and everything with that? The dice.
A great way to fire. Good smattering of devastating wounds. So you're constantly doing incrementally but decent amount of damage to everything, regardless of toughness.
That was one thing I felt I was missing in my matchup with Lane, was that I didn't have anything that could just put a little bit of guaranteed damage. That was like, okay, even if you're going to wall me, even if I'm going to fail with everything, at least at least for my efforts, I'm getting 1 or 2 wounds here.
Yeah.
And that was a big part of it, a big inclusion for the spiders. I didn't really get to showcase them because you had me terrified all game with those scourges. Every time anything moved out there, I said it was like just, they would just bounce behind a wall, summon Goku, and fire a Kamehameha wave. Goodbye. Goodbye. It was cleared entire lanes. So I really respect those. One of the things we were discussing, and I can see it, is artillery hurts them so bad.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to survive a lot of that. So definitely, if Drukhari could get some defense with those type of things, we talked. You could have put them in deep strike, but that having that threat on the table the entire game really pushed stuff back, like the spiders and stuff, to not be able to even really participate in the game. So all in all, that's a bit into mine. My list, I like where this was. Sentinels, great. Doomstalker, amazing. Doomstalkers just did exactly what they were supposed to whole game long. Wraiths, I was happy one of the squads survived and was able to push late into your deployment zone. That was nice. And the spiders didn't do too much this game, but again, you were back. You were castle back. I couldn't get to a lot of your stuff until late in the game, until I could make a catapult to charge with the Wraiths. So with that, let's go over into Drukhari. So this is the Talos. Let's start with them.
Yeah.
Thick, old school, thick city. A little bit. There's just Talos, I guess. You got 6 of them, and they were pretty tough to take down. How did you feel over their general performance?
So they're a new addition to the army. I'm sure you noticed they were only primed. This is
Primed
my
and ready to go.
second game running them. I'm really satisfied with them. They're 90 points apiece, 180 for a squad. So not overly pointed, and as you saw, they take an incredible amount of fire, especially with that +1 or -1 to wound strat for Coven units.
Yeah, that was tough. That was tough.
And they fill the niche that I feel Drukhari lack, where they take ground, I guess. We don't have a lot of trading units, so we can take ground with Taloses that we haven't already cleared with Lances.
I definitely agree. Like I had to respect them the early points of the game and make sure to do enough damage to remove an entire model. And that meant putting a lot of firepower. Like when you pop the toughness strat on the one unit that was closer to your deployment zone, I thought in my head, I'm like, well, it doesn't matter. I have to pump everything into this unit. There's only one time frame, and I'm starting to look at it more and more, especially in those scenarios where I would like to try and have that 2 CP to go into devastating wounds versus units like that off of the Tesla Immortals. And the devastating wounds were definitely a huge benefit, but man, 27 lances was terrifying.
25, close.
25 lances. 25 lances. Do you ever feel like there's a point though with the infantry, like if you go into a heavy infantry matchup where that could get rough? Talos have flamers. Talos do have flamers, and you do have a little bit of spray in there. But if you get into granted, there's not a lot of heavy infantry in the meta matchups. If something comes out of left field, like an orc list comes out of there with a lot of bodies.
Yeah. Like I ran against a 200 infantry model orc army last month, and this army would get steamrolled by something like that. We just can't put down the weight of fire. But you throw Terminators, we could mulch Terminators all day, I think.
Fair. And I mean, again, at that same time too, with some of the limitations of Drukhari not being able to fully invest in that all-comers list style yet until you see a codex, which I believe you guys are next. Aren't you in the next bucket of codexes? I think that's the next like 3 or something.
I think Tau and someone else is on the
Definitely, I'll have to take a look and see into that. I thought you guys were. I know it's not the other Eldar.
We should see something in the balanced data slate that I'm hoping skews us a little bit.
It gives a little bit of something, maybe gives something more to the pain points, giving you extra abilities like they kind of did with Death Guard, where Death Guard got that one little buff and it took them over the top. Something with Drukhari that you're able to have some sort of defense inside your own deployment zone, and that would allow the Scourges to bounce out, shoot, do damage, bounce back, and still be defended against the artillery that we were talking about as the issue. And then we would say, oh, that's too much. They're too defensive. They're not dying. They're not playing the game. They're not moving out on objectives. They're not doing stuff like that. So yes, you have this heavy damage. You look at Tau, like you said, you take Tau and you just build guns for days. Cool, awesome. You can blow up the whole world, but you're not scoring points.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of falls in that same category too. But right now, you don't have the super point grabbing units. You have excellent point grabbing units, some units that other armies would beg for. But you don't have the defense to protect your guns to protect those units. And I think that's kind of where it just filters down a bit. The power and points were very nice. That was cool to like just being able to divide those out and go hit, 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 little simplified. I think that that's where more investment. Are you able to do anything else with those, like advance a charge?
Yeah, reroll advances, reroll charges, and then obviously rerolling the hits.
But just the Drukhari combat aspect is not as sturdy.
Melee, no.
Melee isn't.
Not like last edition. It is a complete swap from melee only army to shooting only.
I can definitely see that, especially with the Talos Haywire. The Talos Haywire, if anything else, like this is one we've seen it with the Sentinels being monsters and not vehicles. But anything that's a vehicle, that's going to be that's a nightmare to go up against. Yeah. Like I was scared to get in. Your keywords were
phenomenal for my army build. I have a lot of anti-infantry, anti-vehicle, and
well, it's not just you though. There is a lot of other armies too as well that just they'll have anti-infantry, anti-vehicle. Yeah. They're not going into some of the skewed choices, and maybe as this game goes on, and as we see that might be something that we see where armies are like, okay, I can handle everything but this. And you can go into the anti-units. One thing that's hilarious is AdMech, the Dragoons, have anti-walker.
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 Very specific.
Yes. So they get So they're anti plus against Imperial Knights and Dreadnoughts and stuff like that. Yeah, very, very specific. Anti-walker. I'm waiting for one that's like I'm waiting for like Mortarian's data sheet to come out and say anti-Lord Calidor Drago. Just right there. Just he's only anti him. Just very specific. Very much so. So wrap this up here. How are you feeling with the list? Are you wanting to practice it more? Are there changes you want to make?
Yeah, I think getting more games in is going to be the biggest gains on my end. I just haven't played a lot of 10th, and running through this with you and getting the breakdown on it, a lot of the advanced rules.
Yeah. I also, like we discussed with it, the only thing that I saw as far as anything that I would have changed up was in the early deployment with the Ravagers by not having them all bunkered together. The Doomstalkers were a threat, but you had to start getting those things separated in order to get close to me. You know, Offspring says it best. You got to keep them separated.
Yeah.
Every time. I do it at work all the time too. Like it's half the reason I had kids is just so I can make dad jokes and look at Nerf guns at Toys R Us. But I was doing that anyways. So. Yeah. All right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the battle. Threw a quick report for us. Thank you very much for coming out tonight, Jake.
Thank you for the invite.
And as always, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.